Hey guys, thank you for joining me for a new video. Today I'm joined by fellow Amazon merch all-star Hella Bella.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you for joining me. So Amazon, or not Amazon, the YouTube algorithm put some of your content in front of me, and I am happy that I clicked the videos and watched some of your stuff. And specifically, I was hoping to ask you about this $1,000 profit day that you had recently.
Yeah, so that video was really a surprise to me that I got to make it. I went on to my merch account the day after my birthday. So I had gone and hung out with my family on my birthday. Didn't check my account all day, which is very rare for me. I usually check it like obsessively. So I got on to check my account and I saw like 1134 or something like that. And I was like, is this what's happening here? Because I saw my normal line and then it went up and I was like, oh my gosh, I made like over $1,000 yesterday on my birthday. It was so weird because I was like, why would that what's happening? And then I was like, oh yeah, you uploaded that new shirt like a couple of days ago and it had time to rank and it had time to, I guess, kind of get pushed up. And after all of that happened, I was like, wow, I should do this more often. Like that was crazy. $1,000 in a day.
Yeah, that's seriously impressive. Can I ask about, was it a trend that you were early to and kind of people caught up to it and you were like super early? But when I say people, I mean like the customer base.
So I found the idea on another platform. I think it was like one of those websites that just doesn't have a lot of people coming to it, but I kind of knew about it because it's kind of like a girly website. And I went to that and I was like, I like that phrase. And I went to Amazon and I typed in the phrase and there's nothing. And I'm like, oh boy, we're about to put a shirt up because I mean, there was nothing there. And I was like, this is so like, am I missing something? You know what I mean? Like it's one of those times where you sort of second guess yourself
Yeah, it's
because
like,
you're
am
like,
I gonna get rejected?
yeah. So I like go check the trademark, make sure nobody owns it. But it was a really like a kind of obscure phrase. It's 3 words, and so I got that and I got the graphic that went with it and I just put it up there and I was like, you know what, maybe nobody wants it. Maybe that's why nobody has it up there, but I'll go ahead and post mine. That way at least I have a shot. And so of course I posted it and it sold a couple of times and I think I had it on a V-neck, on a t-shirt, and then on a tank top. And so that $1,000 day, it was I think $700 of it were V-necks, and that really surprised me because I mean the bulk of my sales is usually t-shirts. So the fact that it was all V-necks was like, oh, that's
Yeah, I
weird.
saw that. You had a nice profit margin built in of like what, over $5 per sale, it looked like.
Yes, and you know what was funny is, can you imagine if I hadn't raised the price before my birthday? Because I think I had it lower and I raised it after. Once an item has sold once for me, I'll typically raise the price because I know that, it's kind of locked in the rank, especially
Right.
when it's not very competitive if there's not very many of them. So I had raised that price up and I was so glad that I did because I've seen people who didn't check their merch account and then had like $1 royalty on something, but they sold 1,000 of them and they're like, oh, I just lost $4,000 or whatever. So I was glad that I
Right.
had changed the price.
Yeah, so the V-neck sold best, but is it potentially because V-necks only, I'm just theorizing, that like
Mhm.
V-necks only come in the female fit and you said it was marketed towards females, and when you uploaded to the other products, I think tank tops are unisex, but when you did standard, did you check the male or youth or just female?
No, I only checked the female because the way the thumbnail shows up for the women's looks totally different, and it is a shirt for women. And if I'm making like a gym bro shirt, I'm not gonna typically put it on the women's tank top. I'll put it on the men's, and then I'll upload another one on the women's if I want to do both. So that's a good point that you're making though. Like that first thumbnail, I think I made a lot of mistakes in the beginning of my merch by Amazon journey because I would try to click all the things and all the colors, and you kind of mess it up when you're giving your person too many choices. So I
I've
do
thought more and more about this lately.
yeah, I do believe in that whole, you're going to cause them to freak out and just leave the listing altogether if they have too many options.
Yeah, so how many options do you normally give? When I saw your report, it looked like you were primarily, it was like one fit type, one color, at least on the big
Yeah,
render.
that's that. Well, that on my best sellers, it's only one color because I don't want that shirt to look like any of the other shirts that pops up. Say there's a design and there's 20 results on the first page and my design is in navy and all the other designs are in black. Like your eyes go towards the colors usually. And then of course you've got that one person who's like, well, I want a navy shirt. All these other shirts are black, so I want the one that's in navy. So I kind of like to have whatever color that I think looks best. I'll make one listing for that, and then I can upload 5 different ones. I mean, there's plenty of slots, so like,
Yep.
that's kind of how I see it. And I think a mistake I made in the past was trying to put too many colors on the listing and then not having them not sell at all, like at all, because we can't control what color pops up. So
Yeah,
that's another
I
thing.
agree. And also, like, one thing that I kind of obsess over as a ex-web developer was my day job. Even though I didn't like obsess too much about analytics, but like part of the internet and like, these web browsers that run JavaScript, and like you can basically track on the client side like every interaction that somebody has with a web page, as long as they have JavaScript enabled, which everybody does. So it's like you can see, and I'm sure, like, I don't have access to these metrics, but I'm so sure that like more choice will reduce, like, the same thing, more choice, more clicks, that's only going to reduce your conversion rate. So I've really been like a lot lately. If I hit a trend, and I've been like on my girlfriend's account too. She's in tier 25, but like I've been doing uploads on her account. Well, I've been doing with her. Don't ban me, Amazon merch. I swear she's been doing it. But like whenever we get something that's working, I'm like, all right, we're gonna inverse the color scheme and upload like only to white or anything other than black, since that's like the primary that is the default.
Yeah, well, that's also something that I do that I guess I've never really talked about on my channel, is that if I have a graphic, I do change the color of it. So I'll do it in white to go on a black shirt, and I'll do it in black to go on a white shirt. I might do it in like, you can put overlays on things. I might do a rainbow one or, a teal one. So that's a way that you can also build out more shirts. Like if you have a really solid design and you want to, change the colors of it to 30 different colors or whatever. I've done that a lot, and I've done a lot of leopard print lately. I don't know if you can tell, I kind of like leopard print.
It reminds me of Carol Baskin. Don't take that the wrong way.
No, I have where are my Carol Baskin things in the bathroom? I should have worn that today. I have some little ears and stuff.
Shout out to Tiger King and everybody that loves leopard print.
But yeah, leopard print is super popular. That's going to be popular again this year. So anybody watching this, get the leopard print.
How are so the color? By the way, the color overlay. I love that idea. That's something that I haven't really talked about recently on YouTube, but it's something that like my early videos talked about because it just seemed to me like a no-brainer. Even if you just stash away the secondary versions, like in case whatever design it is hits, you've already got them. You don't have to go back into Photoshop and start tweaking it. Just do it when you're in there, and blending options, right click, color overlay. But how are you doing the leopard print? Are you doing like a clipping mask or some other way?
I just use PicMonkey, and it just puts it over the whole thing. So like if my design's ready, I can just click add overlay, and whatever the design was, it's gonna all be on top of that. So like one of the designs I use a lot, or one of the overlays, is leopard print, but I bought a pack of leopard print files that were really high quality, and it was like $2 for 20 different leopard print patterns. So if there's some that are really small that might look better on other things, and then there's some bolder ones or a pink one or rainbow one, like I just try to figure out what is my customer most likely gonna want. Like, is this going to a teenage girl or is this going to a grown woman? That's something that I think a lot of people don't think about with merch, is like, who is going to buy this shirt, and like where are they going to wear it, and who are they going to buy it for? Somebody else? Are they going to buy it for themselves? Like there's lots of reasons why people click add to cart, so it's important to kind of think about that.
Yeah, I like that advice. I probably am guilty of not thinking about that enough.
Yeah.
I kind of rifle through stuff quickly now because it's like the higher tier you get, the more you kind of have to adapt your approach. And it's like I could keep approaching things like I used to, but the other side of me is like the more logical side is like, oh, but you got these upload slots that aren't filled, and if you filled them, then
yeah, and you don't have time. Like you just don't have time to think about every single design, and that's one thing that I kind of like have this thing. What is it? I don't know if it's Stephen King or somebody who said like kill your darlings, like the things that you put way too much time and effort into, like get rid of that, because it's probably not going to make you as much money as you think it is, and like it's just taking up too much of your time and effort. Like if I catch myself like on my computer editing a design for too long, I'm like, just throw the whole thing away. Like, this is taking too long, because your time is really, really valuable.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And like when I teach design in my courses, I'm always like, I don't know, this is something that hopefully doesn't annoy people, but I'm always like, all right, so you could probably do this and this and this and this and this and spend an hour and make it really good. But then I'll always be like, it's like the logical part of me is like, but if you're posting it on Amazon and you're seeing more than 48 results, you're not guaranteed to get visibility. If you're not on page one, no one's going to find. So it's like, if you're trying to make money, like reverse engineer that goal, how did you make the most money? Was it from spending the extra hour on that one design, or was it from like, I think they call it like minimum viable product, where it's like, it's
Yeah.
good enough, upload it and then move on, make a very, I don't know.
MVP is where it's at. And the thing about that is that you think that the customer has all these specifications, but they don't. They don't care. Like, they don't look at it as hard as you look at it. Like, as long as it looks decent and it's centered correctly and you can read it, like that's enough for the customer usually. And I kind of thought, I need to learn graphic design and I need to become a better designer. And then later on, I'm like, no, I don't. That's a waste of time. I need to go out and buy graphics and buy fonts and even sometimes just buy the design already made. And that way, I don't have to spend all this time and energy making it. I can just upload it.
For sure. And, any recommendations? I mean, honestly, I'm sure people want to know, like you're the one that just sold $1,000 in the month of October in a single day. So, I push this one service called All Sunsets a lot just because I just keep it real. I've been using them a lot. So I just say, hey, this is what I've been using. What have you been using?
Well, there's a lot of websites where you can buy vectors, but you have to read really closely, like, what are the terms of service? Because, some of them say like up to 1,000 uses, up to 500 uses, and then you get into the whole, what is commercial use and what is personal use, and there's all those things. So I think the Hungry JPEG is one that I've bought a lot of different patterns from. That one's pretty solid and they're really cheap. That was the one that I dipped my toes in with, and I kind of realized, like, okay, say I'm making, I think at the height of like last year, my best months were like 500 or 700 or whatever, and I was like, I can afford to spend $50 on graphics and fonts. Like, I'm kind of being stupid about this. So I went last year and started buying more things, and I'm like, okay, if I have this and nobody else has this to use, then they can't copy me. I mean, they can try, but it's going to be a lot more difficult for them to copy some of those fonts and those graphics. So going to a website like the Hungry JPEG, that one was one that helped me kind of figure it out. And then of course, you kind of have to find your own, like, I feel like I have a style with my shirts, like, as much as anybody does. Like, I'm sure you feel that way too. Like, you kind of upload things that are all similar. Like, I place my font in a certain place, I place the picture in a certain place, and like, I have a way that it looks, that I feel like it looks right. So you kind of have to find a website that kind of matches your flow and your style.
Yeah, I like that advice. And me personally, like, I'm kind of like a shill. Like, I'll just go look at the market and I'll do market research about, like, people ask me questions and I'm just like, I feel weird like giving my personal opinion. So if I ever do, I'm like, well, personal opinion, but otherwise I'll just say, like, go look at the brand Leak, Lique, and it's like, they're probably the most successful brand. And rather than me give you my thoughts, just like study the people that we know are making millions on merch, and look at how they design, look at how they do keywords, etc.
Yeah. And let's not reinvent the wheel here. Like, let's just figure out what's working and go do that. I'm a big fan of that. And I like how you look at everything. You look at everything in a certain way that's going to be like, what is the least amount of time and effort I can put into this that's still going to be profitable? And I think a lot of us, like, personalize our business too much sometimes. I know a lot of the comments I get on my channel sometimes are people being discouraged about their idea didn't work, and I'm like, well, just scrap it and put something else up. And they're like, well, they've put all of this mental energy into their idea, and so when it doesn't work, they get upset. And we've all got our things that we want to work that don't work. I personally have had a lot of failures as an entrepreneur. I've done a lot of things where, looking back on, I'm like, that was so stupid. I can't believe I did that. But you got to move forward. So
Yeah, 100%. My first venture was like stacking my parents' basement with boxes of like so much stuff. And like, I run a website that gets like a ton of like hundreds of thousands per month. And I was like, I'm just going to sell this complimentary product. Dude, I couldn't sell it. I could not sell it. And it was like when I sold it, we had to like put it all together in a box and take it to the post. I didn't know what the heck I was doing. I lost money on the order and I was just like, this isn't it. Like,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
but and I think I've told a lot of people who want advice from me, like, how do you know what to do? And I'm like, well, you try 100 ways and 99 of them don't work. And the one that works, you just keep doing that. So that's kind of how I look at it, especially like I do Amazon FBA as well. And, to analyze a buy, it's helpful to look at 99 bad buys in order to see the one good buy, because then you've looked at 99 bad ones. So when you see the good one, you're like, oh, yeah, this is good. Like,
Yeah. I mean, with FBA, I know the way that we were talking about off camera that you do it is actually like a little bit more forgiving in the sense that like you're not as invested as like someone who does the private label sourcing, right? And coming in from
right.
overseas with a minimum order quantity of whatever.
No, and I know people who do that. They're, $5,000 dropped on a product, hoping that it
That's what I
doesn't
do.
fail. I would personally not be able to sleep at night, but there's a lot of people who have a lot of capital. So I invest in one thing at a time. So, I bought I think like 8 or 10 pairs of shoes yesterday, and they're all different sizes and there's a couple different styles. So it wasn't like 8 of the same pair of shoes in the same size. It was all the variation. So, I feel like my risk is spread a little bit more with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like that. And to anybody that's watching that has not heard of your channel, which I think was up to like what 6,000, 7,000
Yeah,
subscribers.
I just hit 6K. Hopefully, no one unsubscribes as a result of you saying that. I
No,
always see that
congrats.
happen, but yeah, I'm very thankful for it. I've made a lot of videos about random things, but mostly people come to my channel for merch information and Amazon FBA. So
I was going
um,
to ask, are you talking FBA? Because I'm sure people are interested in that as well. I know
yeah,
you're talking merch, so I'm going to send you some subscribers. Hopefully, if you guys want to check out Bella's channel, link in the description. But what else can they
yeah.
look forward to?
I do talk about FBA. I talk about where I source. I do mostly retail arbitrage. So sometimes I take people with me to the stores, and I walk them through and kind of tell them what I picked out and tell them what the profit is and what they can expect to pay for something. Because as important as it is to make a profit, like if something is costing you 40 and you're making $10 profit, that's just not going to fly for me. So I kind of walk through like what I feel like is acceptable for me, and the stores that people can go to, and basically the strategies. Like there's tons of different ways to do it. This is just the way that I'm doing it, and I'm always learning. Like I might learn something from a comment that somebody posts on a video on my channel this week. They'd be like, Bella, why are you doing this way? Like, you need to do it that way. And I'd be like, oh, okay, thank you. So as much as I learn, I usually try to post about what I learned. And I'm posting a little bit. I'm about to try to get ungated in several brands. So I'm
I
going
was
to
literally about to ask you. That was my next question. Was like, do you run into issues with certain brands? How common is it? Because that's something that like I don't do it your way. I do all private label exclusively and FBM stuff. But by the way, oh yeah, that's something we should circle back to. But go ahead and talk about
yeah.
ungating.
Yeah, so I got auto ungated in a lot of things, and I'm very surprised. But I think I've reached the point of where I'm probably not going to get auto ungated in anything else for a while. One of the brands I did get ungated in was Under Armour, and I don't know why. I still don't know why. But that pushed me to go out and buy a lot more retail arbitrage stuff because of how quickly it was selling, and just like it's easy to find it. And so I was like, okay, I'm ungated in Under Armour, but I'm seeing all this Nike, and I was like, like this is a lot of money that I'm leaving on the table here if I don't figure this out. So I'm trying to figure that out. I'm trying to figure out, how to get ungated in as many things as possible, as quickly as possible, for as little money as possible. But it's kind of a process, and if you don't know how it works, you have to have basically a letter saying that you are approved to sell something from a manufacturer, or you have to have proof of purchase 10 units from a supplier that is reputable to Amazon, whatever that means. So you do have to sink some cash into it. So that's one thing that we're going to be talking about probably in the next month or two on my channel.
I like that. And that's also a I mean, considering the alternative, if you're going to do like wholesale or private label, I mean, even if you're thinking, like you said, a little bit of cash, like relative to the other options, unless you're doing like exclusively FBM print on demand, like then that's probably one of the easiest ways to learn some of the ropes of selling on Amazon, selling on the world's #1 e-commerce marketplace. So
yeah, and I don't, you know, I don't want to make this video all about FBA, but my FBA started with books, and now I've sort of graduated to retail arbitrage, just like I feel like you can graduate to wholesale or graduate to private label. So, you know, if you don't want to do one, you can always do the other. So I just kind of look at it like that. Like I might not even be doing this next year. I don't know.
yeah, and you're not overly invested when you're not dropping thousands on private label imports. So yeah, but let me circle back also just to, we can kind of wrap on this, but you know, when you sold 1,000 plus, which I mean, what was your revenues? Probably your revenues probably like up there. You probably made like 7,500 in sales.
Yeah, I don't even look at it because I don't want to know, like, because if I see that I'll be like, oh, but they only gave me 1,000, you know. But the revenue was probably way high. I need to check my revenue for the year. I brought notes because I'm type A. This year has been my best year on Merch by Amazon, and I've made let's see, for October, the best month was 4,424, and October's not even over.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So that's my best so far. And then I think I'm over 10,000 for this year, where last year I was only at 5,700, which last year I was doing real estate, so I didn't even look at it, and it still made $5,700. So but yeah, that to me is like, that's a really good side hustle, considering the fact that I haven't been primarily focused on that this year. You know,
we're here doing the math, and just so people know, because I think this is one of the easiest things to lose sight of, and I don't like to get preachy, but like seriously, $5,700. Everybody that heard that, they perked up because you talked about how easy it was. That per day, and this is how my brain works to trick myself into pursuing it. Like, I mean, now I'm like deep enough in the game. I'm like 4 years almost, but like when I was starting off, like 5,700 divided by 365 is $15.61 per day. That's not sexy, but like 5,700 is, and they're the same thing. So like frame it. If you're struggling to do the day to day, like anybody listening, like just frame it the right way. Like if you see $3 come in as a sale and that's all you made in a day, well, 3 times 365. Oh, okay. That's $1,095. That's still good. Like
that's a great way of looking at it. And that's how I look at all of my income streams, because I say, okay, what's something that can make me $100 a day, or what's something that can make me $25 a day? And let me build this, and then I'll leave it alone, and that's something that will keep coming in. And that's what passive income is. I mean, it's something that you build, but you don't necessarily have to continually work on. You know, you might put in 6 hours on one day and then not look at it again for a couple weeks. So I think, you know, looking at it like that is a great way to look at it. And like you said, it's not really sexy, but that's how you build an income that's sustainable. Not $100,000 coming from one source, but maybe $20,000 coming from 5 sources. That way, if one of them gets knocked out, then you know you still have those other sources.
And I 100% co-sign with that. And speaking of, you know, let's just piggyback, because I wanted to circle around to, you mentioned you weren't selling on Etsy, and you just talked about if one gets knocked out, one of your income sources. So like I was crushing Etsy, and part of, I guess, just Etsy, just they kind of suck as a company, honestly. Like they'll knock off any level seller, any level of success seller. Like I got knocked off because I probably committed like realistically 3 actual like IP infringements, like where, you know, I tagged like Game of Thrones in the tags, even though it said the girl has no costume, and that got reported. It's like, okay, I get that. I got it. But like the rest was just like legit people targeting me. Like they claimed a trademark and they cite the trademark ID. Etsy will just kick you off. So long story short, but like you should have been on Etsy. I know you already told me you weren't on Etsy. You would have made so much money.
See, I got kicked off of Etsy this year too. So I'm thinking,
wait, really?
this is really funny that you're saying this. Yes, and for all my subscribers, this is very juicy information because I have not disclosed this yet. I'm suspended. I was selling files because I was like, I have over 5,000 files on my computer. Let me just sell the files. And I think I have this written down as well. $3,300 profit in files. I started it in January, and I think my best month was like $800 profit. Files, nothing except for the digital download. And I had the same thing happen. I got copyright infringement claims that weren't.
Whether it's right or wrong, doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I'm still fighting with them. I'm like, I have over 2,000 sales in my shop, and y'all are gonna kick me off over this. And that is, they could have just taken it down. I've had that happen where they just take the listing down because I think I had put up like, oh my gosh, like 500 listings, which you can imagine the time involved in that because I thought I was building something.
All manual.
Yes, and I'm like, ugh. So Etsy has some frustrating policies. They really do, because if you go on there now, you'll see Disney, you'll see Game of Thrones, like
But you
everything.
probably could have doubled that 1,000 and probably made an additional like 1,500 to 2,000 with better margins on Etsy selling those shirts.
Yeah, and I think I had done at one point I was doing Etsy Printful integration, and I was doing pretty well with that, but I kind of let that fall off because the only thing I didn't like about it was the customer service, having to deal with all of those inquiries, and
That's what I don't like about Etsy.
Yeah, it was a little bit much for me, and I'm kind of lazy, but like Amazon spoiled me to the point of where I don't even want to talk to a customer. I don't want to look at a customer. I don't want to think about a customer unless I'm thinking about something that I can sell them. I don't want to have to talk about, oh, this shirt didn't fit me right. Can you send another one? And then have to explain to them, whatever. So, but I know a lot of people are doing good with it though. So it just depends on your personality and what you want to do.
Yeah, Etsy's double-edged sword for anybody that is like on Etsy that hasn't hit that like level of success yet. Like when you do, you get the money, but you get the added burden of like people reaching out constantly.
Yeah, and I still think it was other shops. I really do. Because I was kind of gaining, and I was, we were all competing for the same types of phrases. And
I had the same thing. I had shops that were literally like, I would put a hat up, I'd get sales, they would throw the same hat up, and then like I would look at their shop, oh, they're having success here, and I would do it to them because they were doing it, both ways.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I'm probably gonna forget about that in 6 months and start another Etsy shop. Like it's probably gonna happen. But
you gotta have a whole nother identity though. That's
the thing. It's such a hassle, and I'm like, is this even worth it?
Do an LLC, change your IP, change your credit card, and then you're good. You can do that. That's what I did. So.
Well, let's talk about how I've been leaving money on the table, because we talked about this earlier. You said I need to cross post to different platforms.
I was thinking Etsy was like the second one. So, I mean, after that, it's like, the Amazon FBM, like you probably could have thrown it up on like a coffee mug and like a shot glass or even like a pillow. There's a bunch of random stuff, but like that wouldn't have been as much as like if you had just thrown it up on a t-shirt on Etsy, because most customers it's probably 50-50. Like they either go straight to Amazon or they go to Google. And those Etsy ones will rank really well. And then I've had really good success on Etsy before, not that often, but like where I have like a really good trend, Etsy paid for me to be in the so I didn't have to pay myself.
That's awesome. And that's still an awesome feature that they have. I noticed that they tell you if your sale came from an ad that they paid for. And I had one that was doing really well, and the profit on it was like $8.90 or something like that. And when you compare that to merch royalties, it's like that's a lot higher. That's almost double what some of mine are. So it was a good platform for a while, but then things happen. So what's your other favorite pod sites? Like which ones do you preach?
Yeah, I mean, I think like after that, Amazon FBM through Printful / Gearbubble / whoever. I think those are like the big two that people use based on my knowledge, and then probably like Redbubble, and then followed by TeePublic in my experience.
Is Redbubble? I know you posted the video. Were the masks on Redbubble? I just saw that, but I forgot which one they were from.
Redbubble gets really like nice preferential treatment in Google search results. They also spend a lot, so I don't know if it's like complimentary. Like, hey, you spend a lot on ads, so we'll give you better organic placement as well.
Yeah.
But they don't ever charge you for ads. They just constantly run like retargeting, Google Shopping, Google search result ads.
Yeah.
And they rank well organically. So that place is like.
I think you've pushed me to make masks now, because I don't have anything like that, and I have so many designs already. Like at this point, I think my time is better spent posting my successful designs elsewhere.
if you're not on Redbubble, like I had the same thing happen where someone was just like, dude, like it's time you get on Redbubble. And I was like, all right, I'm gonna listen to you. And
Mhm.
nowadays you can get up, like you can get your designs up super easy because they have this clone function where you can upload a design, manually place it so it looks good on like the 70 product types that they offer. And you just go through it manually that one time.
Mhm.
And after that, every time you upload, you clone that. You clone that
Oh,
listing
okay.
and you replace the design. So like
Mhm.
when I got on Redbubble, I uploaded for like 13 hours straight and I uploaded like 400 something in a single day because that
Yeah.
didn't exist. So you can do it super easy now.
Yeah. So how's the fee structure work with do they give you royalties or how
It's
does that work?
like merch.
Okay. Yeah, well, I should do that then. Maybe I'll do that in the next week or two.
Talk
Start.
about it on your channel too because people love Redbubble. It ranks really well on YouTube. So
Yeah,
so good.
my designs are already getting ripped off and sold on other pods by people who aren't me, so I might as well be that person to do it. I've seen so many of my designs elsewhere, and I know they're mine. Like I know for a fact it's mine. Like it's the graphic I bought, the font I use. So
The
that's a
real
little
winners,
frustrating.
yeah, the real print on demand winners are the platforms because they make so much money. But then second to them is the people who write these bots that can automate the ripping off and reposting to, Amazon FBM and then all the other secondary platforms because they for sure exist.
Yeah, and it's frustrating, but I try not to think about it too much. Do you use any like tools for making your shirts? Like what all do you use to design? I know you probably talked about that before, but just out of curiosity.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, lately I've just been using like I'll start in Photoshop or I mean I can do Photopea and Canva. They're both like all of them are similar, but I
Mhm.
usually just go straight to Photoshop because I'm just used to it. And then I create like a templated design, and then I was gonna see if I had it open, but it looks like it's closed. But I'll just like add. I'll essentially I have like variable driven designs now because me and a
Mhm.
friend built this Chrome extension called automatepod.com, and it can just like swap in lists of variables and download automatically.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then I
I
feed that
get
into
you.
upload automation and
Yeah, and making one design and then changing one little thing on it is so much more efficient than making 100 designs. Like, just don't put too much time and effort into it. Like, they're really you have how many slots now do you have?
100K. So I've got
That's
35K
crazy.
left.
When
Yeah.
did you tear up?
It was like last month, I think, maybe, or the month before. I think it was
And what?
August. Yeah.
Yeah, what did you tear up from?
They took people from 20K to like 100K. So I know a bunch of other people
So
too that did it.
crazy. That's so crazy. I'm at 8K, so I don't have that pressure.
I don't know how much changes though, because like for sure they don't show all my listings. You know what I mean? Like if I
Yeah.
really wanted to hit big numbers, I would need to like target the same trends. But like I say, like I'll do the YouTube videos saying like, here are the big trends. And then on my girlfriend's account, like I'm like targeting those trends because she's in low tiers. But like on my account, I'm just evergreens pretty much
Mhm.
exclusively, just trying to build a recurring base.
Yeah, yeah, that's with my $1,000 day, my shirt was an evergreen shirt. It's not a holiday shirt. I figured a lot of people would think it was
That's
a holiday
crazy.
shirt because it's not, Halloween and Thanksgiving, Christmas are coming up. And it's a good idea to make holiday shirts, but they're, there's a limitation where they're not going to continue. Like some of my evergreens have been up for 3 years. Like something that I made once 3 years ago is still making me money today. So that's passive income to me. Like that's cool that you can look back on something and I can even think like, oh man, I was sitting down at my computer for a couple hours that morning, make the design, throw it up, and then it becomes like a bestseller forever. Like that's crazy. Like
Yeah. I was preparing for a video last week and I was looking at my like first tier 10 like first sale design and the issue I'm having is I can't change the price on them. I don't know why. Like I'm trying to go
oh
in and reset it to like the base price so that maybe they can get recycled because they're like
hmm
not generating sales even though they should be. And I know a lot of them have been ripped off. Like I brought a niche to Amazon, similar story, and that's how I got out of tier 10.
hmm
Nobody was selling it and then I was selling it. And now when I look, there's like 50 results.
Yeah. And what do you do with your expiring ones? Do you go and re-upload everything again?
I mean, I was doing that for the last 2 years. I'm not doing it now because I worry too much about rejections. Truly,
Yeah, they've gotten more stringent on that. I noticed a lot. I was going through, I have like a couple hundred expiring in the next month or two. I guess I got really gung ho about it and did a bunch of like October and November, December designs last year, and some of them are expiring, and I'm looking at them and I'm like, this would not pass the trademark thing anymore. Like, I do
Yeah.
not need to post this. So apparently, you know, they've gotten a lot more stringent on that.
Intentionally or unintentionally, right?
Yeah, and I'm
Hard to
sure
know.
it's costing them money to be more strict on things.
Yeah, but yeah, it sucks that you brought that up because like I literally started doing it the other day, and I like organized my old ones alphabetically, and I got from like A to D, and on D I saw a rejection. I was just like, it's not worth it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, and plus, you know, some of those, it's like every year there's a cyclical phrases that come out, like for Thanksgiving and Christmas, and we don't really know what they are until you know what they are. I notice that every year. I usually go on Etsy and look at what the stay-at-home moms post, and then I just upload that. Like, Etsy's a gold mine for research.
Yeah, that's good tip too. Because I usually preach Amazon, but yeah, Etsy, probably the second place I would look. I was looking at Etsy a lot for the hats that I would sell through
Mhm.
like Printful integration with Seller Central.
Yeah. Are you having on merch, are you having good luck with things besides shirts?
Right now I am actually, and this is what's weird is because I was when I got tiered up to 100K, I made a video and I was like, guys, like I'm gonna do this not just for me, but for everybody that watches my channel. I'm like, I'm gonna upload 100,000 unique standard shirts because standard shirts sell the best. And in
Mhm.
a world where everything's equal and well, not equal, I guess, but like if I upload 100,000 and they all actually get cycled through search results, which isn't happening right now,
Mhm.
like I felt like I would just absolutely crush. And instead, what I realized is like a lot of them are getting suppressed, which led me to in case it's based on product type, which I don't know, but I
Mhm.
started uploading to the other product types more, and I'm seeing like more long sleeve shirts sell than hoodies right now, but like probably hoodies secondary. How about
Yeah,
you?
yeah. Hoodies are doing well for me right now. And you know, you can talk about the pricing strategies of those, but hoodies are a great royalty. Like if you price them correctly, like I have
Mhm.
some hoodies that make 714, I think, per sale, which
Is
is
that
like
priced at 39.99 or
I think close to it. Or no, it's 35. 35.
okay? They
Yeah,
used to be, I think, like suggested cost was if you remember
40.
that, like it was like $40 and then they
Yeah,
reduced the base cost.
I don't normally go over 35 if I can help. I usually do 34.95 because you know you don't want it to look like
Right.
35. But I see good royalties with that, and the long sleeve shirts are a good royalty as well. Because I mean, in the customer's mind, a long sleeve is worth more than a short sleeve.
Yeah. And
So,
my recent like bestseller, it sells like a bunch every day, but it's like I literally took a trending design that like you would find on like my top 5 niches and I just put it on like the other shirt types. And it's like that one, 44 of them on long sleeves, you know, and then I'm looking at like V-neck 10 sales. So sometimes it's like you can just go look at what's working and say, all right, I'm going to throw it up on a V-neck and throw it up on
yeah.
a long sleeve. And then maybe even like switch the color, you know,
Mhm.
sell it on only the neon blue or whatever it is, you know, that weird blue on long sleeve or
Yeah,
on a
that's a
hoodie.
really bright blue, but that blue goes along with a lot of sports teams if you think about that, but you can't
Mhm.
really say it's that sports team, but you can put like generic Wildcats on something. Um, and you can put, you
I
know,
did some of that the other like a week ago or so, and they all hit manual review, and I got scared, but they got through.
really, yeah. Well, don't listen to me then. You might get flagged,
Well,
but
I was just saying it worked, but like I
yeah,
did do that. I know what you're talking about, where it was
yeah,
like what people in a certain state call themselves, and then it also coincides with like a sports team at a college level, and it's like, oh crap, you
yeah.
know, Wildcat would get flagged, but it got
Wildcats, yeah.
through.
Well, you know, well, you don't have to do Wildcats, but think about that kind of stuff. You know, there's phrases in every single state and every town. I mean, I don't know if you can tell I have a really thick Southern accent. So, I mean, there's a lot of things that I probably say and that people around me say that, you know, a New Yorker is not going to say, but somebody in Alabama might buy that shirt because I think, what is it? Bless your heart. I'm pretty sure that's trademarked now. Um, you know, so, but I mean, things like that that are just really specific. And that's one thing that I don't think I paid enough attention to was like, you know, things that nobody else knows, like just through your own weird world experience that you've had, like, you know, things that nobody else really knows about except for like a small subset of people. So just make things for those people.
Yeah,
Like,
you might not get rich doing it, but you get some early sales. And what's cool is like the print on demand landscape is evolving. Part of like us being on YouTube is like I'm sure you'll start getting people reaching out to you too. Is like when there's these new tools in development. For instance, like one that I'm looking into right now as a beta tester it's Amazon like FBM automation, where instead of me like uploading, I used to sit here all day uploading the hats from Printful, and now I'm using a different automation tool called POD Turbo. But then there's another one that does basically the same thing, except like if you made like a CSV file of just like good quotes, like sentences related to like the South, or whatever, and you could just like pop it into this software and it'll generate a bunch of variations automatically for you with like font or color or whatever. And then it'll push them to Amazon, Seller Central for you. And they'll just sit there forever, and they never fall off. So
That's cool. Yeah, I was thinking about the bottlenecks in my businesses, and merch is time. I mean, what else is there? There's nothing else. Like, think of anything you can think of. It's not capital because it's not a capital intensive business, and it's not really ideas because we have the internet. It's your time. Like, it's how many things you can upload as quickly as possible, and then the research involved. So
that's a great point. Cool. All right. Hey, well, why don't we wrap here? We got 40 minutes in, and I think this was like very insightful. I think hopefully everybody listening learned a lot. And if you guys have any questions for Helabella, number one, like definitely show her some love on her channel, subscribe. You can drop a comment on this video. I think we're going to upload it, or you're going to upload it to your video as well, or your channel as well, potentially. Awesome.
Yeah, I'll upload it, and come over and see me.
Cool. Yeah. Amazon merch, Amazon FBA, anything else?
Well, a little of everything. I had an Airbnb for a while, so I'll talk a little bit about that, a little bit about real estate, FBA, FBM. Lately, I've been doing a lot of merchant fulfilling too. So there's a little bit of everything for everyone. So you guys can come check it out. I thank you for having me, by the way. I'm really excited to be here. And, this has been insightful for me. I'm always learning something. So this has been a good conversation to have.
Yeah, likewise. I've learned from you as well. So anyways, thank you for being here, guys. Thanks for watching. And yeah, we'll see you soon.
All right. Take care.